not deferred. Uh-oh.
That's okay.
Okay. All right, let me see. Got it. And so it's got delinquent taxes and a pretty big city lien. And so we were ready to close. There's 7 heirs, and out of those 7, there's 2 that are deceased. So no, wait, let me rephrase that. There's 7 heirs, but the dad is deceased, leaving 7 heirs, and one of those heirs died. And so that leaves us with 7 heirs, and the family decided they only wanted one of the heirs to be the signer at closing. So they all signed warranty deeds to the one heir that would sign at closing. But I have not recorded those warranty deeds because at the beginning, this one heir that I signed the contract with said there were no other heirs. And of course, when the title comes back, there's a lot of things that suddenly emerge, right? So we're set to close, and a bogus affidavit of heirship comes up out of nowhere, showing 2 more heirs, and they're not related to the family. So I went to 2 different attorneys, and they said, you need to have these people sign these documents and record them, and then that'll put the heirs back as on title as heirs. So did that. In the meantime, my seller that has signed the contract with me, I'm having to keep having her sign amendments to extend the closing because of these problematic situations. And I'm giving you the incredibly short executive version. So there's zillions of details that are not being shared. She gets a little antsy. She doesn't understand the bogus affidavit of heirship. She just feels like I should tell the title company, those are not the heirs, and the title company should say, okay, that's fine, let's close. Very simple-minded in that regard. So she gets a little antsy, and someone else approaches her. So she signs a contract with someone else. So they are calling me, this other buyer, saying, you have a memorandum of contract. There's a lot of money to be made on this property. So of course I filed a memorandum of contract. Also because my seller is just a little teensy weensy bit on the non-integrous side. So, MOCs are good for insurance. So their title company finds the MOC, my MOC, and they call me and say, can you please sign a release? Nope, sorry, don't. I'm working on closing this transaction. So the title company contacted me, the buyer contacted me, their attorney contacted me, and the buyer contacted me via text, email, and phone calls multiple times. Okay, we'll pay you $1,000. Okay, we'll pay you $2,000. Okay, we'll pay you $5,000. Their attorney called me and emailed me multiple times. Well, what's it going to take? What do y'all not understand about? I'm going to be closing. But because my MOC was older, they assumed I wasn't doing anything, especially I suppose because the seller signed a contract with them. So what did they do? They turned around and filed an MOC. So now I've got this this file. I had to change title companies twice because the title companies got squeamish with the bogus affidavit of heirship, and then the other one decided at the last minute they weren't going to work with dead people files. So I've now got it with an attorney. It's actually 3 brothers that are all attorneys that own the title company. And today they said, everything looks good, we want to go ahead and file the warranty deeds. I'm like, no, don't file those warranty deeds, because if you do, that puts all the ownership into that one heir, and all these other 6 heirs are going to be getting paid from me for their part. And I know this one seller well enough that she will cut them out. And so the attorney now says, you're going to have a release on this memorandum of contract. So I told him, I said, well, you know, one of the attorneys that I worked with in the past that I closed about $2 million worth with, he had run into two MOCs on two different properties that I was buying. And he just called him up and strong armed him, and they released the MOC. He goes, well, I can try that. Well, like 5 minutes later, he tells me, yeah, they're not going to sign the release. So we are at a standstill here, Todd.
So the release, when you say memorandum of contract, that's a lien, that's like a claim of interest type of deal.
That is exactly right.
Okay. Who, I lost you on one thing. Who filed the claim or the memorandum?
We both did. I filed mine when I put it under contract in last year.
Mm-hmm.
And they filed theirs July 18th of this year.
So when you say they, it was your buyer?
No, not my buyer, because I'm buying the house.
Okay, I thought you were assigning it to someone. Okay.
No, no, I'm sorry.
Who's the other person that filed it? You filed one, and then who else?
The other buyers, they're Blue something or another.
Okay, gotcha. So, all right. So when did they file theirs?
July 18th of 2022. So like,
And when did you get it under contract and start working on it?
I got it under contract, I think let me look here. When did I get mine under contract? Mine, May 29th of 2020.
Oh, so you've been working on this for, geez,
A lot longer than I realized. Yeah.
2.5 years. Okay.
Yeah,
So you've been working on this, and during this whole process, the person that you're buying it from signed a contract with somebody else?
Yes. I guess in July of this year. So I suppose she thought I was just pussyfooting around or something, but that memorandum, I actually went through 2 title companies with this bogus affidavit of heirship. So to just give you a sentence or two about that, one of the heirs, which is the granddaughter of the man that died that owns the house, she had a boyfriend 15, 16 years ago that got her pregnant, and they had a boy. And then, but they didn't marry. He went and got someone else pregnant, and they had a boy. They had a son. So this man has 2 sons by 2 women. And the way I understand it, he wanted the family to sell him this house, and they wouldn't because they don't like him, I guess. So he is the one that filed the bogus affidavit of heirship stating that his 2 illegitimate sons are the heirs, and months was spent working on that because the title company that I was with said, you've got to find all the people on this affidavit of heirship, and they need to have signatures to release. And, you know, every attorney has a different opinion. So much time was wasted with that.
Right.
And then
the Blue Capital is a buyer or wholesaler, right?
I don't know what they are, but they're saying that they're a buyer.
Okay. So
and they kept telling me, I'm so sorry, Todd.
No, that's okay. No.
They kept telling me every time they'd leave a voicemail, this was their attorney, and this was I don't know who he is, but somebody that represents the Blue company, whatever it is. Both of them would say, we're ready to close, but we can't close until you sign the release. Well, they only have my one seller. And so I told the attorney, I said, and I didn't want to give him the clues of how to close this, but I said, there are multiple heirs, and there is an issue involving a federal crime and we're trying to resolve that issue out of court, which had to do with the bogus affidavit of heirship. And he's like, well, we don't see any of those things, so we're ready to close. And I'm like, you're okay, but I'm
Right, they're
not.
right, they're not gonna have marketable title. So do you know how much money that they were buying it for?
I don't.
Okay, so if they're ready to close, you got one option. What were you gonna do with the house?
I was going to renovate it or wholesale it, one or the other. It
Okay,
really doesn't need much, and then sell it retail or close to retail. I just want
okay,
to be in and out really quick, but there's a lot of money at stake. And I've already spent hundreds of dollars with 2 attorneys drafting documents.
yeah. So you gotta figure out a number. This is one option, okay?
Okay.
Hey, look, if you wanna close it, fine. Pay me 20,000, 40,000, 50,000, whatever number you like, and I will sign a release. At closing, you don't sign anything until the file's closed at a title company, or they got a certified check and the check clears. You know, one thing about certified checks, they could cancel, someone could cancel a certified check. I had it done on me once.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so you want to make sure it clears.
Well, then I will just have title pay me if that's the direction that I end up going.
Yeah, but they might be doing a quick claim. Well, if they got a title company, they said, all right, so you have the title company, they wire the money to title company wires it to you or gives you a certified check in exchange of you, or they won't wire it until you sign it. So you'll sign it in exchange of the check, and and then if they say no, then you could sue them, or you could threaten to sue them, or have your attorney write up a letter saying, we're gonna sue you for slander of title.
Yes.
Okay, that's option number 2.
You are so smart, Todd. The attorney said something about slanderous title, which I've never heard of. And he said, but it's very expensive to have an attorney get involved to do that.
Yeah, I mean, maybe you look at another attorney or you find out how expensive. Usually, um, and you could tell them, does it say in your purchase agreement that you could file a memorandum of contract?
No,
Okay, so
I use, because I have my license, I don't show houses to people, but it gives me the access to the MLS. So because I have a license, I have to use the state promulgated contract, and I don't think it says anything in there about an
you gotta
MOC.
add that. You don't have to use this. I doubt if you have to. I know I'm licensed, and you could write a purchase agreement on a napkin. Okay,
I've always been
yeah,
told, and maybe it's a broker thing, that I have to use the track contract if
yeah,
I'm writing the contract.
yeah. So you might want to talk to a title company
Okay.
and ask them, do you have wholesalers that are licensed? And they're going to say yes. And do you have any purchase agreements that they use? Okay,
Okay.
because I will send you a copy. I'll send you a copy of my purchase agreement. Okay.
Okay. Awesome.
And
So
tech,
you don't have to use the state.
no,
Wow.
because a purchase agreement, I mean, that's there for you. You can use it, but um, I definitely 100%. My broker knows I use this. I've been using it for years. I mean, if I was doing a regular MLS deal and I'm making commission, then I'm going to use a different one. Or I'll just write in the comments the commission up down here. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. But right here in line, right here, 10, it is
10
agreed
notices.
and understood by all parties that buyer may at his, hers, its sole option file and register a claim of interest or a memorandum of this purchase agreement with the Register of Deeds for the county in which the property is located. This will remain in place if the seller or anyone associated with the sale of the house does not perform on this contract. Okay, so technically, they could sue you for slander of title, and you don't have that in your contract. You're technically not allowed to file a claim of interest. Okay, so that's between us. So you could go after them because they probably don't have it in their contract, and that's how you would win this. Your attorney I would say your attorney draws up requesting a copy of the purchase agreement, or emails them. Let me see a copy of the purchase agreement. Boom, you get the purchase agreement. He looks at it and he sees it's not in there. Then all it is a quick email say, you filed a claim of interest and it does not state that you're allowed to in your purchase agreement. That's slander of title. And boom, and they'll do their attorney wording, and you'll probably scare the pants off of them.
Well, maybe so. What did surprise me is that their attorney emailed me, I think 3 or 4 times, and called me 2 or 3 times, which I'm assuming they thought would scare me. But I work with a lot of attorneys every week. No, I don't mean to say I work with a lot of attorneys every week, but I work with a lot of attorneys, and there's not a week that goes by that I don't work with an attorney. So that does not intimidate me like it might someone else. And I kind of feel like it probably wouldn't intimidate them if I had an attorney calling them.
What about, well, he could write something, they'll win in court or whatever. But what about, how much money would you be happy if they just cut you a check?
Well, I think that renovating the house, I have, in this particular house, I have the potential of making, or of netting 800 to, I'm sorry, not 800, 80 to 100,000.
And I'm sure it's lower now than it was 6 months or 12 months ago, right?
Well, that would be current.
Okay, that's current. So
that would be current, yeah. Because
100 grand, 80 to 100.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I don't know what number would make. I mean, now you don't have to renovate it. You don't have to worry about all this nonsense. So maybe give them a number of 50 grand or 60 grand, or you could always go high and come down low or something, but that's a big enough number where they would just sue you or not do anything, like if I had a claim of interest on a lot of properties, and usually when they come back to me, but it's not ones that I'm going to make a lot of money, but I might just throw out a number of 5 grand or 4 grand, just enough so it's cheaper than them going after me with an attorney.
Right. And I have often thought, I really appreciate having the option to follow a memorandum of contract to protect my interests. But on the other hand, with a memorandum of contract, if there is one that was filed prior to the other one, it doesn't seem like the second one should really hold any weight. Of course, I didn't get to vote on this, but it doesn't seem like the second memorandum of contract should be able to hold hostage the closing of the first MOC. So, of course, the fact that I disagree with that doesn't really matter, but I'm voicing my opinion anyway.
Right, I got you. What's your email? I'll send you this.
Okay, it's Lisa. That's it.
Okay, I must email you.
That's it. Thank you so much, Todd. So I did close on one property. This was a couple of, I don't know, this was maybe about 14 months ago. It was a little house that I thought I was going to wholesale it, and then I just thought I was going to sell or finance it. And then I started renovating it, and it was just so far away. My contractors were just winding up a storm. It's so far. I need you to buy us a gas station if we're going to go this far. Not happening. So I just thought, I put siding on it, I put new windows on it, and I thought I'm just going to sell it as is. Well, it had a memorandum of contract on it when I bought it, and I thought I got 100% insurance because I was closing it with an attorney, a different one. And the attorney took a whole week before he came back to me and said he had to check with his underwriter and see if his underwriter would close the transaction with the MOC, because it was brand